Hello, everybody. My name is Matt. That's Greg. That's Alan. And we are the Essential Credentials Trio, if you would like to call us that. And this is episode 60, not episode 70. Our host from the last 2 weeks has, I took his word for it. So I guess we're going to just have to roll with it. But yeah, how is everybody doing tonight?
Great. I'm having a good time. I wish it was episode 69. I'm now super excited about episode 69.
Yes.
Tracking it. I'm ready for it. This is only 60, so we're 9 away. We're getting there. But if I say every episode is 69, eventually it's going to be true. But if you say it and you truly believe it, then it is. I think Seinfeld said that it's not a lie if you believe it. So
as long as we don't pass it. So 60 is a banner episode for sure. And yeah. I was going to say the one good thing about it being 60 and not 70 is that 69 is still waiting there for us.
It's waiting.
It's going to be a great episode. I'm going to guess right now.
That's true. I mean, I hope you're not disappointed, Greg, because like all the build up to that episode, and then it's going to be there, and you're going to be like, oh, well, I guess it's episode 69, whatever.
On 69, all I can say is, guys, be prepared. There's going to be a lot of innuendos. There's going to be a lot of just craziness on my part. It's going to be 100% on me. I take the blame for it. I want you guys to be prepared because I'm coming out of my shell, and there's going to be a lot going on that episode.
Yeah, Alan, I'm pretty sure we shouldn't let him host, Alan, on the episode.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody else needs to have the mute button for that one. I already had some feedback from one of our loyal viewers about some of that innuendo, in fact, and it pushes the envelope. I think that guy was like, I don't really know if this is the kind of card show I want to watch. I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah.
We do us, right?
Yeah. Well, there's always a fast forward button if you want to get through the ridiculous dinosaur talk stuff when we get to the cards. So,
yeah, I say what I say. And if you're not part of it, then you can. Ben Stiller's movies or whatever. But I'm here for you.
Honestly, I don't think it was too bad. But I think it's been good that we've been able to have some fun and kind of come back, and especially all the people that came back for that 58th episode. That was pretty sweet. So. Hopefully we get some people popping in here today, but we're all about photography today. We like to converse before we have an episode, and we think like, okay, what's going to be a theme? So Greg came up with last episode's theme, which was really fun because I liked the discussions that we had. Like going back and forth every time somebody showed a card. Alan, I know you wanted to be there. You were in spirit, but what did you think of that episode with like the backstory and the cards that we picked and whatnot?
It was a big one. I mean, I only got to see the beginning, so I got to see the antics. And I know that the big card that I've been wanting to see was coming out that episode. I had no idea. Greg had not told me that card was queued up for that episode. It's just a whole bunch of things were converging on that one day, and I couldn't make it. Sad not to, but I hope to see that card today. We know what card that is. It's one it's been following this podcast and our friendship around for a couple of years, I would say.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Quick backstory. I originally was going to show that card on our 58 when we all came back. The shipping, he had sent it overnight, and it, for some reason, you know how shipping goes. It did not come in that time frame, and so what I intended to happen did not happen. And so I had to delay it for one. And what's crazy is I actually had the card sitting in the envelope right there. I did like Alan 100%. It was just sitting on my desk, and I did not open it. Wow. I just left it there, and I was like, "Life's too busy. I'll get around. I'll get around to opening this." And I waited for the next podcast, which Alan was unfortunately unable to attend. And I opened it like right then and there, but I'd had it for probably because we went 2 weeks. So I think I had it for like 10 days. Wow.
Heard of for you. Yeah. I guess it's not a common thing for people to have stacks of cards worth thousands of dollars just sort of sitting there on their desk, not open. But I thought that was a thing. Don't you want to don't you want to light the proper candles and have the proper mystic going on? When
we treat everything like a 6-year-old on Christmas. So it's just like we rip it up and open it immediately.
Yeah.
So that took so much restraint. I was like, I'm just gonna wait to do this on the podcast. It took so much restraint for me not to open that package because I wanted to know if it was okay. I wanted to know if it was actually in there. I wanted to see the card. There were so many things going on, but I just left it. I pulled an Allen and I just left it right there.
Man, that was, I'm just imagining like you not knowing if it was for sure in there. Like you throw it up and it's the base card just sitting in a magnetic. You'd be like, oh my gosh, that'd be devastating. So
it could have happened live on camera, you know.
Yeah.
This could have been a monumental disaster captured live. It would have been on CNN and it would have been like, man offs himself because the time choice reserve doesn't exist.
Right.
But it was there. It was there. It came through. So
Alan, how do you do it? Because any of us that watch your videos, the intro goes something like this. Hey guys, it's been a hot minute. I've had these cards sitting here for blank amount of days. Time to do a video. You know, like honestly, I know you're busy and stuff, but like Greg and I don't know how Greg did it, first of all, but if I know like a Marc-Andre Fleury from the Cup is in that package and I have to sit there, like I need to do this to practice, but I have a hard time doing it. How do you do it?
I mean, sometimes it's not that hard, just because you're so overwhelmed and busy, you just don't have time to do it. Other times, I want to open the packages on camera for the most part. You know, you only get one shot at that. That feeling that you have when you first lay eyes on a card, that's one of my favorite feelings. It's, you know, you decide right then and there, the moment you see it, whether that card was worth the time and effort that you put into getting it. And so, to the extent I can catch it on camera, it's almost like a diary for myself. I can go back and see how I felt about it when it first came out. I think that's why it's a little bit easier for me to do it.
Right.
I'm a little bit more of a perfectionist too. I want to open it under the circumstances that I want to open it, which is when I'm not too tired to appreciate it and, you know, all that other stuff.
I've got a question, like a thought on that, because you're mentioning that, but also as a almost insurance policy now, because we've had an issue where the card didn't pop out of the package like we intended. So now it's almost like, is it an insurance policy as well for you?
I mean, it was for that one episode that you're talking about. As I opened it, you could tell that I already had doubts in my voice because it was such a bumpy negotiation. In the back of my mind, I was like, this is one of those where I really do want to open it on camera on the off chance something horrible happens, something unprecedented happens, which had never happened before. The card just vanishes and it doesn't show up and is not in the box that you opened.
Right.
People found it really strange. People who don't know me and don't watch my really like drawn out, like almost painful videos sometimes didn't realize that that's what I do. Is I have a card, so I'm sitting there for something weeks before I open it, just because I have to find the right time to do it. And then when I finally do, I make a big deal out of it for myself. I had to set up the camera and the tripod and all that other stuff in order to get it done. So people found it to be incredible, not credible, that I would lose a card that way. But that's actually how I do things typically.
Yeah, like watching, just real quick, I know we're rehashing history, but watching that video with you, I know you know, we're really good friends. So watching you, I understand like what you're saying, the stories, you're like relating to the viewer, you're, you know, talking about all of the details of the transaction. But to the average viewer, they're like, why doesn't he just open it immediately and just, you know, show the card off? But that's not who you are. And people don't know that. People didn't realize that. Right. So a lot of people were like, oh, you know, this was like a fake video. And I'm like, it's not. That's who Alan is. Like, he's talking about the card. He's talking about the transaction. He's relating to the viewer. There's so much going on in that video that people just don't realize or don't, you know, have the attention span for. And it was crazy to me to hear some of the reactions, you know, we were talking about on Blowout and other random venues about the card and the video. And I was, you know, just kind of blown away by people's response to it, because you were actually like putting it all out there. And that's just who you are, you know, you're just showing your emotion, the transaction details, everything regarding that card. And I like that. I like watching that video or any of your videos because you're talking, you're relating, like you're showing your passion. And that's one of the things we did in this group and in the podcast is we like to see the passion behind the card, not just here's a card, here's another card,
Right.
I appreciated that, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's fake," but I didn't agree with that. I just know who you are, though. So I think that was coming from a friendship.
Yeah, they were thrown off by anybody who's never known me before. Was thrown off by anybody who knows anything about me from the Facebook group, even. Not necessarily even close friends, but casual friends that I have in the hobby knew me enough to know what the situation was. But there's this weird situation where some randos actually posted my video in the basketball section of a forum that I don't read and started talking about me there without my knowledge, basically saying that I was the scammer in that situation. And I was like, what? Like that caught me so off guard. It's totally
that blew my mind when I read that thread. It blew my mind.
It just goes to show, though, every time somebody in the scammers group posts something up there, it's why, as Greg mentioned, if you decide to go there, you better know that everybody's going to be a skeptic before they believe what they're reading, because how many times have we seen it the other way around, and in Alan's case, it just shows you how easy it was for somebody that doesn't know Alan, that just sees a situation and puts him on blast. There's no repercussions for this person. They can just, throw in Alan's name and throw some mud and dirt all over his name and call it good without even thinking how it's going to affect him. Like, it really just goes to show that, there is an ugly side to collecting, but thankfully for us, I rehashed mine last episode. We've rehashed Alan's a couple times, and it's a good lesson to learn for everybody, though, man, because you just, especially when you're dealing with big cards nowadays, can't be too sure,
No, you can never be too sure. And in Alan's case, I think, any big purchase, it's kind of smart to have evidence of you opening the package, of you documenting it, so that if it comes down to it, he had to deal with Venmo, and that was an ordeal in and of itself. So just having all that evidence, it doesn't hurt. Just open big stuff on camera that you show is sealed and everybody can see it. Like, it's not a bad idea. But I also just like I like watching mail days. I like watching stories, hearing people's emotions behind it. How did the transaction happen? Did it take 6 months for you to finally get this deal done? Like, there's a lot going on. I like to hear about that stuff.
Right. Alan, I'm curious, before we move on, like, after all that has happened, obviously that was a while ago. I mean, is your approach to buying a big bonds card, or even any card at this point, does it, have you taken anything away from that and you're extra careful now? You look for vouchers? I mean, or are you chalking that up to like, okay, I've learned my lesson, just keep going?
I think that was a special case because it was a random person who had never been. That's true, Brett. I really agree with that. I'm not sure why. I think it's more exciting. Actually, I've seen podcasts on YouTube that are entirely based on negativity. Maybe that's just the more watchable content. I don't really know, but it's definitely not my it's not what I'm into. But as you were saying, like, I'm generally pretty cautious, and there's been times when I've ignored the little voice in my head. And I think my entire episode where I unwrapped that card that wasn't there was me saying there was a whole bunch of little voices in my head that I ignored. And so, but I think it's probably going to be worth it, because once I see this card, if it's as great as I think it is, then it'll be worth it. And I've had situations where it wasn't the best of circumstances, and I kind of took a gamble, but it worked out. So, I mean, that at some point it's going to catch up with you. And the situation just happened. There were so many strange things about it. It happened to be around Christmas, where there were seasonal postal workers. So I don't know whether somebody stole it on the way, whether he'd never sent it. The guy was not that easy to deal with to begin with. So I don't know if I learned anything. I tried to be careful, but I just got a huge card in the mail. You guys have all seen it because I've showed it off already. But for example, that card, I was thinking, should I get it insured or not? Obviously, the seller wants to insure it, because if he loses it, I potentially could get my money back if I paid through PayPal business, but he would lose it. So, but if you put many $1,000s of insurance on a tiny little light box like that, it really invites crime. So it's like, what are you supposed to do in that situation?
It's a balance. So you're like, do I insure it and make put a bullseye on it, or do I like hopefully let it slip under the radar? You know, it's like one of those where you're like, you don't know what to do.
Because the guy insisted, and I'm like, oh, I understand, because you got to protect yourself too. So we went through FedEx, and it was supposed to be signature only, like it was supposed to be hand delivered.
Right.
Some people just left it on the porch and bounced.
I've had numerous of those where I'm like, I thought I was supposed to sign something, and they're like, nah, we don't care. I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. So, but the card made it safely, and I was delighted to have it. But it was one of those where it was dicey. Could have very easily lost a very, very rare card,
right,
worth a lot of money.
We do everything we can to be as careful as we can, and as long as, like Greg and I talked about last episode, you pay goods and services, and you feel like the person's got a lot of vouchers. If something goes wrong in between the seller and the purchaser, that is out of our hands, then both people need to feel like they're protected. And I mean, again, I told Greg, like 99% of my interactions and purchases, because I've made a lot, especially in Canada, way more than I think anybody else that we talk to, haven't had any issues. So it's just the little voice, Alan. I had it too, dude, and now I have it too much. Like,
well, I would just say this: if you have one inkling of a red flag in your head, just pay goods and services.
Yeah.
If you even are unsure on any level of who this person is, just do goods and services.
Not Venmo business, PayPal goods and services.
PayPal goods and services. I will buy friends and family from Matt. I'll probably do goods and services from Alan, but I will always pay goods and services if I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know you. I really don't know you.
Yeah,
I would always do goods and services.
That's right. And one of the first red flags is when somebody says they don't have PayPal or they don't want to do goods and services.
Yeah,
that's almost, if they say Cash App, that's almost like it's pretty much over from that point on.
Right.
You getting the card are very low if they ask for Cash App.
I don't know when you were buying hockey, Alan, if you did any e-transfers, because that's a Canadian type thing, but I've been lucky enough to make some friends in the hobby and the hockey side of things that live in Canada, and they're like a go-between. They'll e-transfer to the person I'm buying from, and then I send them PayPal, and it's worked out both times. But you have to really be careful, because you want the guy you're getting the card from to, like, you need to really know. And I just ask for vouchers, and when I see 10 of them from people that I've seen in the hockey card group that buy all the time and trade all the time, I'm like, all right, this guy would be risking everything to screw one person over for $200, $400, whatever. So I mean, it's calculated sometimes, but after my last experience and your experience, even Greg, I'm sure, is like, I want to be just that little bit extra careful, because you never know.
It's inevitable. I feel like it's inevitable when you're making these kinds of deals. Like, eventually you're gonna just get got. And what are you gonna do?
I just like to point out the dude on Instagram. He's still like on there posting stuff like nothing ever happened. I'm like, just admit it, bro. Just have a little shred of dignity left and just admit it, so I can move on with my life. You won't do it. But you know what? Whatever. I'm over it now.
Did you guys hear about that Yankees prospect who was selling bats and game used equipment and random?
Unbelievable.
Like, that was so crazy to me. That I actually saw I saw several posts of him posting and doing messages where he was saying like, hey, I can get you a bunch of game used equipment. Just give me some more time. I know you paid me. And he was like a top prospect of the Yankees.
Unbelievable.
Like, crazy to me. So crazy.
Wow.
Try not to get too into the scammers, but they're out there. Just be careful.
It just says, like, if a Yankees prospect could do this, then anybody's fair game for a scam.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Crazy.
You just wonder what goes on in the mind of a person who is a scammer, because I think you have to probably justify it to yourself, because I don't think a lot of people actually think they are a bad person, even if they've done bad things. So you got to do a lot of sort of justifying and rationalizing to yourself for why what you're doing is actually not that bad. And it is not that bad. And so you lie to yourself so effectively that it just rolls right off your tongue when you're talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
Especially over Messenger when there's no verbal communication. It's so easy to type some BS.
Yeah. So, keyboard warriors.
The cat GIF, dude. That's my favorite, when the cat's like going crazy.
There was one one guy from our group, I'm sorry, this is the last thing, who actually I guess was scammed by somebody and confronted that, like flew to another state and confronted them in person. He said he recommended that I do that, and I was like, that is pretty extreme. But can you imagine like what that confrontation would be like when, you know, scammer, pretty slippery, pretty slimy, actually confronted with somebody who wants their $3,000 back? I mean,
I'm bringing him with me. Or my father, either one, I'll be fine. And you guys know why I'm saying that. I'd be fine. So would you, Alan. We'll come together. All three of us.
Yeah, I definitely want numbers. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's always like the revenge fantasy, you know. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna come get my money.
Like hold them up. You give me my money back, you
right.
son of a.
Right. So crazy.
Anyways, yeah, crazy stuff. Well, we have unfortunately, I was just looking. Bonds is not in this checklist. I don't know how he didn't make it. There must be some issue. You know about.
When's the last checklist he was in? 2015.
I was hoping, man. I was hoping so the three of us could have that in common. But Greg and I actually are pretty excited. And Alan, you'll have to forgive us for talking about modern, but this set finally came out. I know it's been delayed a bit, but 2021 Topps Chrome Platinum Anniversary has been released, and not only is Tyler Glass now in there, but so is Tim Salmon.
Wow.
I mean, and this they've got that now. Alan, I'm sure you'll appreciate the old school design, right?
Yeah, of course. What is that? 52?
Yep, that's right. So they got obviously a lot of legends in there, which is pretty cool. So the checklist is 700 cards. I'll probably zoom in here so people can see this here. Oh, whoop. All right. 700 cards on the checklist. Look at all these different variations. Just take a peek here. I think what did I count up, Greg? 23 or something?
There's a lot.
So
we have, just from the parallel base, you have refractor, black and white mini diamond, aqua wave refractor, X-fractor, blue mini diamond, red atomic refractor, green yellow 70th, rose gold mini diamond, platinum 70th mini diamond, gold rose 70th wave, orange yellow 70th, black and gold 70th, black red 70th mini diamond, and a super refractor. Just
yeah, there's a lot for sure, Bruce. Hey, Dr. J, what's up?
Went on.
So I'm just going to go on record and say I already have bought the first Tim Salmon autograph from that was listed on eBay.
Is on its way in.
It's theoretically, if it doesn't get scammed.
That was funny.
Those look like cards.
It was the Blue Prism 99 autograph. It was the first one listed on eBay. It was, the set came out on the 29th, and it was listed like the 28th in Pacific time. I don't know, but I offered $40, and yep, that's the Salmon.
That's the non-auto version. I just want to make sure. I wanted to see what the picture looked like. Are you happy with it?
It looks, yeah,
kind of fake.
Yeah, you got that, like, I feel like a 16-year-old girl on Instagram. She did
run it,
the filter on her picture.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I'm happy he's in top. I'll never complain that Tim Salmon is in some modern stuff, because I've been tweeting for years on Topps for them to add Tim Salmon to Topps. Every month, every year, I go to Topps. I'm like, tweet, and they don't listen, but they've been listening the last couple of years. So I'm not going to complain. It's definitely the Instagram filter on that picture, but I'm happy to collect. So I will be happy to collect. I bought the very first autograph of Tim Salmon. It came out on eBay. It is the blue. It looks like you got a pretty sweet picture there.
Yeah, it's like non long hair glass now, though. It's like 2019 glass now, but I'll take it. It's could be a lot worse, I think. So
yeah,
it's not too bad. So that's the only one I've been able to buy so far. This is just the way, but I watched the box break, and there was only one of those in the box. So I mean, with a what did I say, 700 card set. I mean, we're talking like worse than 1999 Topps Chrome with like 400 cards, and you want a refractor out of, you get 2 refractors a box. So
yeah,
wasn't too bad.
I saw it was so on eBay. They've got the breaker. They have the player. You can buy your player, and Salmon's going for $4.99 per case.
So did you grab one just to have some fun?
Because it's 700 cards, man. That's I'm not gonna play $5 a pop.
No, I've done it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I made an offer on the autograph. He countered. I accepted. So I've got the first one coming. It is the hobby only version. The blue is the hobby only. They've got the hobby light and the hobby. I don't really know 100% on that, but I did get the blue one, which is numbered to 99. So I'm super excited to have my first one. I told Matt, because he was like, you got to get every one just like me. And I was like, I don't really want to do that.
Come on, do it.
Do it. I was like, that's not really my style. And he was like, no, you got to do it. So I'm going for the gold. I'm going for the red, going for the black, going for the super refractor.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I'm going to focus on, because in the 90s, I was a gold, black, red kind of guy. The Topps Chrome, the black and the gold. I got all the Salmon refractors. I will continue to love them. Red was kind of later on in the 2000 era, which I'm a fan of because he has red. It's an Angels have the red. So I'm a fan of that. And then the super refractor, the foil refractor, whatever you want to call it, is one of one. I am a sucker for those as well, just because they have that vinyl shine.
Yeah.
It's always special for the 101. So if that popped up for a reasonable price, I'm a contender on that. I'm super excited he's in more stuff. These last 2 years, he's been in more stuff than he's been in the last 8 years. So it's awesome.
You've got to be one of the primary contenders, right? I don't know how many salmon collectors there are that you regularly compete with, but it can't be more than 5 or 6 out there who are prominent, and then maybe add 5 or 6 more team collectors of the era who would be interested, presumably.
Yeah, you just run into those like people with just buttloads of money who are into 1-to-1s. That's my serious contender right there. Is just people who are like, I want the 1-to-1. I don't really care who it is. I'll pay whatever. Right. And I'm like, no, I just need the salmon for $70. That's my issue.
I just want to throw in there, since you're not going for them all, you do have to try to grab just the regular refractor too, because I think we're going to talk about sentimental cards. I think sentimental wise, it's like right up 90s alley. You know what I mean? Because I think you get like 4 per box if you're lucky, and there's 700 cards. So like a refractor, while it's not a tough pull necessarily, and we know how much we love the odds when we expand them out. It's like 1 out of 7 million packs get the salmon technically. But it'd be cool to have just a refractor. I would love to get that, because I mean, that's just, it's not too fancy. It's just call back to the early refractor style stuff, So I think that one I'm probably more excited about than any of them, to have that 52 chrome and a refractor.
Yeah. My only gripe is just the photo brush issue for salmon. I have a gripe there. It just looks so filtered that it's just I just want like a natural photograph. It doesn't need to be artistic. It doesn't need to be so much. It's just like so much extra.
They made it kind of thick on that one, didn't they? I mean, I don't know what the manufacturing process was for the 52 tops, but that clearly wasn't just a pure photograph. They did something to it. They colored something. So I don't know what it was. They clearly tried to mimic that, or tip their cap to that process, but it looked like he almost looked inhuman. You know what I mean? So it was just like, if they take it a little bit off, it may have been more ideal. But
I agree 100%. I'd much rather just have like a natural photograph of him. I would be good with that. But when you add like colors and tints and filters, and I'm like, I don't know. Again, I'm happy he's in the set. It's been years, so put salmon. I'll stop complaining. Put salmon in tops. Go for it.
It wasn't for lack of effort on their part or listening. They responded to the fans, right?
You got to listen to my tweets. You got to listen.
Well, and it's interesting too, because it makes me wonder if they're, even though it's just like an anniversary thing. And the Griffey picture, by the way, is amazing because he's got a backwards hat on. But it makes me wonder if they're going to start maybe doing a couple sets a year with legends and past players in it, because hockey's starting to go back to that. They stopped for years, and now they're starting to like push back into that realm. And collectors want that, man. You got to balance it out. You can't. Everything can't be about rookies. You know what I mean? It just, there's too much, there's too much. So
you can't prospect everything.
No. Yeah. Like
people want to do Hall of Famers, veterans. Right. It's just part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I mean, what's cool though, is they're getting guys. I haven't looked at the whole checklist, but Salmon, while he was awesome for the Angels and an awesome person too, like guys that aren't quite Hall of Famers that had amazing careers. Scott Rowland is another one. Garcia Parra, guys like that need to get in some of these, just a set or two a year to give those player collectors or team set collectors or whatever a chance to have some variety. You're not just getting Luis Robert for the 50 millionth time. Like not that he's bad or anything. But
nothing wrong.
He's awesome. He's awesome. But like the same rookie, like every single time, it's like do a set that doesn't have any rookies. Like do.
Right. You need some Rico Bronya. You need some Gary DiSarcina.
Yeah.
You need some people that
Fernando Vina.
Yes. Bring him in.
As he's like turning and getting hit with the ball.
Yeah. Rafael Belliard, Terry Pendleton. Just bring Sid Bream. Like bring him in, man.
That's for Alan right there. Alan, if Barry Bonds didn't exist, that would be his player, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, to the outside world, is JT Snow like a Rafael Belliard type player? Like Erstad? Like what?
No, I don't think he's quite
quite as up to Belliard standard, or
I think actually he's probably more popular than Rafael Belliard.
Hey, I like JT Snow, man. I liked him when he was on the Angels.
He had some hype on that train.
That's correct. There was hype when he was a rookie. I forgot about that. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I still remember his Metal Universe from '96. I remember going in a card shop and I got the Cora from a pack, and then I wanted a JT Snow because he had all the planets and stuff behind him. It looked awesome. Like, and I had that card before I ever had the set, obviously. So, cool. Cool. Well, yeah, that'll be fun too. We can update each other on that, and Alan can live vicariously through us, and then actually show his real '90s cards, not cards that are mimicking in a way. But
I will be able to show the first Salmon autograph pretty soon.
Awesome.
I appreciate the way you're going about it too, Greg, which is a nod to the '90s. You actually didn't go with the prettiest ones or the rarest ones. You went with the ones that meant something to you from the '90s, which is interesting. And then, are you a completist now for sets that you like for your player? Do you go for every single one?
I mean, just kind of within reason. Glasnow right now, he's not pitching; he was hurt. So within reason, I can go for rainbows like completely. Every now and then, a superfractor of Glasnow gets pulled, and nowadays, you can imagine the prices people throw them up for. Greg and I are in the same boat. Honestly, a Salmon superfractor and a Glasnow should be in that 100 to 75 range, like right in that sweet spot, nothing more. And there's people asking $300, $400, $500 for a card. I'm like, well, I can't, like the Topps Chrome from 2020. I have all of them, and the superfractor came up for $400. I could have the rainbow, and I'm like, I'm not spending $400 on a superfractor of Tyler Glasnow. Maybe if he was like a 4-time Cy Young winner, yes, but he's not. So
you get into that boat where you're like, what could I do with this $300? And it's so much more than a superfractor. You're like, I could buy something I legitimately want for $300.
Something that you have to have, right?
Right. You could get like a staple in your collection for $300.
Going on, right? Ichiro. Yeah, I mean, that's when you guys. You guys are spread so thin. For me, like right now, I'm trying to move some of my PC cards, but are not like core take it to my grave type PC cards. But I can't spread myself thin because $300 here, $300 there. What are you going to have left when you have an impossibly expensive card that you must have? Like I don't have funds to do all that. Like I got to script and save all the $300 cards into one, and then launch all of that.
Yeah. And that's what happens is we're like, oh, it's $300. Oh, it's $200. Oh, it's $600. And you're like, wait, I could have bought something so cool with all of this money had I just saved it and lumped it together versus this like scrimping and just buying a card here and there. And then you just have to like battle that inner demon of not not hitting buy it now or sending an offer for something that you kind of want, but you'll spend 200 for. Because it ends up adding up so quickly over the month, you know.
Right. Well, it's tough too, Alan. Like I do like doing this, like putting them all together. You know, it's awesome. Fun, but that's because it's cheap. You know, like if we're talking, you know, Mike Trout, then you don't do that. You can't do that. You can't get the red refractors, both of them out of 5. Can't do that. But it's just giving me a way to stay in with modern baseball and collect a player that I don't know if you guys have watched him on the Chris Rose rotation, but he's very enjoyable to listen to as far as when he's talking about the game. He's the player rep. He's really good. So, you know, it's been fun, but yeah, this kind of a rainbow, it's going to take over a year, maybe 2 years, because his stuff doesn't get listed as much. So when a card pops up, if I miss out on it, you know, I might not see it again, especially if it's out of 10 or less of glass now. So I have to really be vigilant with his stuff. So I'm going to go for it, but it'll be a very long process.
Are you finding that you're able to get a lot of stuff on like COMC or Beckett?
No, most of my stuff for glass now is eBay. A few on COMC, like Prism, like Select or Prism from Panini or that kind of stuff. But no, it's not as much as you would think. It's mostly eBay, and if I wait long enough, it's cheap. It's like it's really cheap. Guys are like, just want to get rid of this card. It's like a refractor, gold refractor for $10. It's like, okay, that sounds good. So it's a fun endeavor, but I don't go crazy because I can't afford flurry stuff. If I do, like you said, if I buy like 5 glass now, then that flurry that's on my most wanted list that I need $400 for, I'm like, oh crap, now what do I do? So
yeah.
Anyways, but it should be fun. I would have been curious if Bonds would have made this, if Alan would have he probably would have taken your approach, Greg, where he picks up like the base refractor and then like the gold and the red or black or something like that.
It would be so difficult to anticipate because I noticed what they did with this set where they tried to find the best picture of salmon and glass now that they could find. They didn't find a current picture. They just found what looked the best aesthetically, which is very cool. So for me, I find aesthetically like pre-2002 Bonds, because he had a little bit more speed, to be the most aesthetically pleasing. That's why the mid-2000s and late 2000s cards don't quite appeal to me as much.
Right.
Just more bulked up. So if they had like classic 1993 with the retro jerseys, you know, and it just
that'd
like
flying
down, I don't think I could resist picking up cards, even though I would have no idea what that feels like since he hasn't had a legit card, an authorized card since 2017, and it was just a handful of like Topps autographs even then.
Wow.
I was just gonna say real quick. I agree with you on the aesthetics because Frank Thomas, when he's got like his like 10 pizza Frank Thomas, and then he's got like his like athletic Frank Thomas. And, and I like the athletic Frank Thomas. I like the one where he's like bulky and you know, he's kind of lean, you know, he's like lean, but he's just strong. And then you got the 10 pizza Frank Thomas, and you're like, yeah, you know you've been eating that pepperoni, dog. And
just pizza, Greg.
Those cards, I'm like, hey, you know, he had 10 pepperoni pizzas that day, and I don't really mess with those as much as I do the one where you're like, that dude is just he could possibly hit a triple, you know?
Yeah.
I actually saw that video. It was recommended to me of Bond stealing his. He broke some record as far. Was it 500 and 500, right?
Yes.
And he's actually pretty big at that point. How fast he still is really impressive. Like I was obviously I was expecting it to be like a bad pitch and like a bad throw, but he like stole the base legit. So
he had no cartilage in his knees by then, but he wasn't a threat on the bases, but he was trying to get that 500. So I think in the last 29 attempts, he stole 28 bases and got caught once because
that's incredible, man.
Because he just could not afford to waste anything, you know, like he was going to retire pretty soon and he just couldn't run. So he had to wait. for the perfect moment.
Gotcha. Well, you said aesthetically pleasing, and that's the in essence what we're going to showcase today, because we decided we wanted to show off 4 cards that we had photos on them that we really, really enjoyed. And we've kind of dabbled in this before. All of us have talked about this. You know, Alan, you've talked about it with certain poses of Bonds hitting. Greg, you know, we're very familiar with the particular Fleer card. We all know about that card. We talked about it. But in the same vein as those cards, like cards that, you know, like while I've been scanning everything back in, there's a couple that I'm like, that card, the picture on there is awesome. Like I can't stop looking at it. Those are the ones that we're going for today. So thought it would be fun. Alan, since you missed out last week, 2 weeks ago, you were, as Greg described, in survival training.
Yeah.
In case a dinosaur attack happens. Would you like to start us off here?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, actually, I think I probably misunderstood the assignment, but this will apply. Apply to a lot of things. The first thing I want to show off is the big card that I got in recently. This card by itself, the passing the torch out of when it was out of 100 and it's just Bonds by himself, is still my favorite Barry Bonds autograph in existence that I know the existence of. So for the longest time, I've known that this 1 out of 50 with Willie Mays' autograph on the front, I guess, of the card was out there. Just didn't know if I would ever have an opportunity to grab it. And when it finally did come up in one of the Facebook groups, I went all out to make sure that I didn't miss. And I mean, it's a spectacular card. The pose is not the kind of typical action shot, but it's perfect for the theme of the card, which is passing the torch.
Yeah.
And if you just look at the expression on his face, I mean, he looks like he's about to go hit 4 homers that day. You know, like that he has his game face on. So I mean, I love this card, not least of all because of the picture. It's a great picture. It matches very well, obviously, with this one. And I had to basically move a whole bunch of stuff that I wouldn't normally move to claim it. So I'll just tell the quick story now. These were the 2 cards that I had to move, and these are not bad pictures in and of themselves. When you have a 5-tool player like A-Rod or Barry Bonds, any pose where they're doing something is usually at an elite level. So Bonds' arm was not as strong as his other 5 tools, but he was a great defender, one of the elite defenders in baseball history, actually, by some metrics. And then this, of course, is one of my favorite cards. My wife, when I told her I sold this, was like, how could you? Like, this is your favorite card. I was like, wow, you really pay attention to my baseball card life. How did you even know? And she's like, I know. Like, how could you hang your head in shame? And I said,
and you're like, but it's not the one from the National.
Not the one
right?
National, not the one. So I could part with these. And so I essentially traded these 2 cards for this. And I think it was a good trade.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
I mean, that I'm just going to interject here and say that, like, when we first met, I would say that was a horrible deal, because I didn't realize that the value has gone up so much on those autographs. But his autographs are really expensive by themselves, aren't they, Alan?
They are really expensive and climbing, because I think people are finally catching wise to the fact that he was good at baseball. And for the investor types, they may want to jump in because, you know, he's so much cheaper than a lot of his peer players who rank with him in the annals of baseball history. So yeah, this card is exceedingly expensive, and I think that even given what I paid, it probably has a lot to go, because arguably the 2 greatest players who ever lived touched this card with their pen. You know, I mailed it to the other, and they're closely related. They're basically family. So
yeah,
that's so cool, man. Awesome.
Yeah, they both signed it in really good spots. I love the photographs on both because of passing the torch. The autograph is bold on each player. It's just a lot of times you end up with something where you're like, why did you sign it here? The autograph, the pen is faded, or whatever has happened. But in this instance, you have a solid card on both ends. You have double the potential of a disaster here, and both sides are amazing. So that is a card to hold on to.
Yeah,
that is a big one.
I'm not an autographs guy. I know if I could just take privilege because I'm not gonna jump in as much as you guys. This is for Matt. I used to collect hockey, and so the reason I stayed away from autograph cards is because I would get cards of legends like these when they came out, and then they would just plummet in value as the next year's product came out. And I was like, this is not a good, because I used to find the most pleasure in trading up, right? So if my cards are losing value, then these are less useful for me because I can't trade for a card I want even more. So that's why I always told myself, stay away from autographs. But after a while, when you become a collector, you can't help but go after cards of your player that you think are beautiful, whether you think it's a good investment or, good money idea or decision or not.
Right. No, I'm with you on that.
As a player collector, you're like, well, I've got all of the refractors, I've got all the essential credentials, and then you start going into the autograph area where you're like, I don't have this, and it's really cool. Like some autographs are just legitimately cool. We talked about the fresh ink 2 episodes back on Ultra. Really cool cards. Like some autographs you just can't dismiss because they're just a cool card.
Yeah,
couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Yeah. Greg, would you like to follow that up?
Yeah. So mine is way less. Mine is way less. Just less of that. This is it's a card that I had looked for several months and I couldn't find. And somebody in the group actually messaged me and said, hey, I have this card. I think I have this card. And whenever you get a message like, I think I have it, and you're like, well, can you look?
Right.
You're like, you think you have it? I don't know. Do you have it? Yes or no? Like, go look right now. Stop what you're doing. Go home from work. Call your wife. Find the card. It's when you ever get that message, you're just like, please have the card. Please, contact right now and tell me you have this card. So, anyways, long story short, I wanted this, and I was super into the player at the time. I still am a big fan of him. I don't collect him as much, but the photograph still stands out. The card still stands out because I'd wanted it, and I got, kind of a relationship with the person through Facebook.
Oh, cool.
Getting the card. And this is the 99 Ultra Platinum Medallion, Andrew Jones. And we're doing photographs. This photograph to me, whenever I post it, like Instagram, Facebook, people are always like, that is amazing. That's so awesome. That's such a good photo. And I agree. I can't verify if he caught the ball or not, but probably in my mind he did.
Yeah.
That was like a happy dive, a happy jump to me. So
yeah.
I think he caught the ball. I assume he did. But that, when I look at my cards and we're talking about photographs, that's like a top one for me, man. That picture in and of itself is so cool. Add that it's a platinum medallion. I tried. The biggest factor I had in this criteria we chose today about photography was not looking at designs, not looking at refractors, not looking at all the cool stuff that add the cards, because that can muddy what you're trying to do. Yep. I was just looking at photography, and the photography on this, that's
spectacular.
It's such a cool card, such a cool photograph. So for me, I picked this as my number 4, and yeah, he was a baller on that day, and
man,
I'm super happy he was, because they got a cool Fleer Ultra Platinum Medallion. So
yeah, dude, he had so much hype. I remember growing up when that stuff was coming out in the 90s. I remember Andrew Jones was the talk.
Yeah, I've got this right here. I don't know if you guys collect them or not, but I got the little McFarlane.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, so cool. I got a bunch of these on my desk. I get $10, $20 a pop.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to get my favorite players, and I got him. He was a solid defender.
Right there. They're fun for $10-$15. I have them. I have a couple Tebows and a Burrows over there. Like, they're cool, Alan doesn't have any because his kids would probably start playing with them and break them.
I mean, 10, 15 bucks.
For that reason.
Yeah. Well, Alan, you talked about having autographs with pictures on them that represent the player. I think that's something that in one of your videos you talked about, and I really appreciate it. It was a lengthwise, it was an autograph that's landscape, and Bonds is crushing the ball. And I remember you went into detail talking about how that represents him as a hitter really well. And so I've shown this card before, I think, but when I think of Marc-Andre Fleury, I think of him doing one thing when he plays, and that's doing that. And this is one of my first big purchases ever, but it's the only card of Fleury that's got a close up of him smiling in a game. Yeah. And while it does look faded, all the red ink autographs on these canvas cards do that. The canvas soaks up the red ink really bad. So it's just something that we got a little worried one day. I was like, holy crap, what's going on? Because I have my cards on display, but no direct light hits them. I got a little worried, but all of them look like that after a year of being out or whatever. So I was just so excited to get that card because that's what I love about watching the guy play. He's always having fun, and he's having fun. He's playing his best. And so,
well, yeah, if he's showing his emotion, that's cool to see because he's got a mask on, obviously. So yeah. A lot of times you can't see what he's displaying. So that's really cool that they captured that. So I get why you like that card.
When he made, I have it on my wallpaper here, one of the best diving saves of all time. Immediately, like when he stands up, you see a lot of white right here, and that he's smiling after he's done something. Most goalies like Vasilevsky for the Lightning, he's just like locked in, and he makes a big save, and he's just straight facing it. And so I love seeing an athlete that plays with emotion like that. Same with Julio Rodriguez on the Mariners, dude. He's having so much fun out there. So. Yeah. Anyway, I had to definitely go with that as one of my favorites. It was a huge process in getting that card into my collection, but cool. Worth it. So now I need to get the blue autograph version, which sells for more. Yeah. It's numbered to less, but it's got a big bold auto on there. So one day. Yeah. One day. All right, Alan, what you got next for us, dude?
All right. Trying to stay on topic here. Here's the 1999 PMG. A card that I have long thought was one of the ugliest from the 90s for a long time, just because the base card is all lumpy and it's metallic, but it's clearly not metal. And then what is going on with it, and why are PMG so cool? And I don't get it. And when I saw the actual PMG in person, I was stunned. There are a few cards with this level of shine, but I know that we're here for the picture, and I think part of the reason I like this PMG so much is because the picture, I mean, look how the picture is framed here. You can't get a bigger picture of Bonds going back on a ball. And like I said, I was a kid when I was a Barry Bonds fan. So I remember when we got him from the Pirates, I was like, why didn't we get Bobby Bonilla? He hits more home runs, and then when he was kind of just like doing his 400, being awesome at everything, but like not hitting the most home runs of anybody, I was like, should we trade him maybe? Kent around because he hits more home runs. And it's just, because I'm a kid and I didn't appreciate the all-around game that the guy had. So I love cards now that really capture, like you said, all aspects of the player, and his ability to field is second to none, especially in his position. He didn't have the arm to cut people down from center field, but he was one of the best outfielders who ever lived.
Well, it's cool to see, him in a different spot other than hitting, because you got a lot of batting photographs with him. So it's cool that you've got such a monumental card. 99 medal is nothing to sneeze at. The PMGs are solid in the collecting world. So for him to have a cool picture that you like doing, in the outfield, I think that's really cool. Just adding it to the PMG status is awesome as well. I think that's a little icing on the cake for you.
Definitely. Well, and Ryan's absolutely right. I mean, to get a 7 on that, I feel like it's pretty darn solid, just for the chipping issues that they have in the back too, right? The backs can be pretty bad as well.
Yeah. I mean, they're chipped up all over the place. They're chipped up out of the pack from what I understand. So it's a beautiful card. I know that we're focusing on pictures. I actually put up my top 5 favorite pictures in the Facebook group recently, so it was easy for me to pick some of my favorite poses and that was one of them. So
cool.
The 99, my salmon was missing like a huge chunk on the bottom for my PMG.
Really?
And, I'd bought it for like $35 way back when. And then I recently got an upgrade, like a big upgrade for it. And it cost me way more than $35, but it was worth it. But I still have the chipped one, and they were notoriously bad.
Yeah.
If you opened it past 99.
Oh my God. I actually don't mind if a card is pretty shabby out the pack. I just don't want to see subsequent damage. Somebody accidentally dip their fingernail into it or drop it on a corner or something like that. If it's just manufacturing and it's just a chippy card, I think it gives, unless it's really bad, like maybe your salmon, I think it gives the card personality.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys too. I was just noticing this today. I scanned in a card from Alan knows what cards from Ultimate Collection, that dual patch auto, and its card is like what? How old would it be now? 08. So, 15, 14 years. And it, I'm like, did you guys like throw it against the wall to try to hit the corners on every corner, or like what happened to this thing? And I know it's older card, and the thicker cards do that. They typically, people get all bent out of shape if it's. I'm like, dude, it's a thick card. Nobody cares. They're not looking at the edge, So, but I didn't really notice it was that bad. But when you scan it in and your whole screen is the card, you're like, holy crap! Like you're seeing every little dent.
So much more. I'm gonna pull out that salmon real quick.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah, it was pretty funny, Alan. I'm like, geez, I need to watch people open this product to see if like the cards come out like that, and they definitely weren't that bad. All right.
Oh yeah, that is pretty.
Holy smokes.
That is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's like a chunk.
Dang, man.
Not like that.
Yeah, right there.
Wow. That's
a big chunk.
Yeah.
That looks like when it came out of the pack, Greg, like they were stuck, and when they went like that, it just boom, yanked the bottom. And you've seen that firsthand with the Brendan Shanahan, remember?
Yeah, that was brutal. That was a tough one for me because I was the one who had to do it in the 4 screw down, which really sucked. But that, they probably hoped for the best on that one, and I lost a piece of salmon on that card. It sucked.
Yeah.
But I found a second one, so we're good. I'm good.
Good deal. All right. Well, you're up, dude.
I'm up. Okay.
Go for it.
So this is a modern card, actually, which you're not really going to see that much from me. I'll take the case off. And this was one of the first modern cards I bought when I'd come back to the hobby for baseball, because I was like strictly doing 90s stuff, in the group. And I saw this card and I was like, I've got to have this card. Like, I'm not even that big of a fan of the guy, but the card was just so cool. And I loved him and respected him for his position in baseball. So this is the gold refractor, the gold etched Stadium Club. Like, how cool is that photograph?
So sick.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
the scale.
The shine. I can't do justice to, but just like holding this card and seeing like his viewpoint and what he was doing. Knowing his history and what he's done for the game. Looking at this card kind of gave me goosebumps the first time I got it in the mail. And, these gold etched are 1 per case, and the set is huge. I think it's like 300. So there's not many of these. I went on a hunt hard for this when I learned what the picture was, but man, that picture just is kind of like, I don't know, tear invoking. It gives you goosebumps.
That Ruth built, is that Old Yankee Stadium or?
Yeah. It looks, yes.
Old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Well, and watch the video. I dare any sports fan that's got a heart, unlike the Grinch, watch the last time he pitched, and when Pettit and Jeter walked out there to take him off the mound and he started crying. I mean, I get goosebumps watching that video, and I did not like him at all, obviously, because he killed my team constantly. All the Yankees did, but that right there, forget about the fact that they're Yankees. That right there was such a heartfelt, emotional moment. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Greg. Absolutely.
It's an emotional card, like you said. I mean, I'm sorry to jump in here, but I mean, a lot of people would say having your player take up that little real estate on a card, aesthetically not pleasing, but they obviously went for it there. Yeah. We know what he meant to baseball. Mariano Rivera hit all of us. He was such a badass.
Yeah,
you just watch on TV at a bar, you know, because the Yankees were always in the World Series trying to win it. And you were just like, this game is over. You know what I mean? Let's just watch how badly he destroys the other team before he ends this game and just takes it down. So he was awesome.
I'll just chime in and say one of my favorite moments. Ray is here. He'll know what I'm going for here. Ichiro versus Mariano, guy on base, down by 1, walk-off homer, first pitch off Rivera. Like, nobody does that to him. And to have it be Ichiro, 2 generational talents. Yeah. I would. Too bad they can't get inducted together, because when players have that happen, they talk about their, facing each other. Yep, he knew where I was going with this before I finished. But yeah, that was an amazing moment for sure. Oh yeah, I like how he just comes in and Dr. J just says that randomly. He's waiting for it, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we talk about like emotional, like really evoking emotions from me, and Alan will know this photo. This is the high gloss out of 10, but I don't have the base still for some reason, so I didn't grab it. But this photo right here of Flower is, let me see if I can get the shiny light to go on here. There we go. So yeah, this is when they, like, right when the buzzer went off, when they won the cup in 2009. So like, he's throwing the stick up and the buzzer just gone off, and they won the Stanley Cup 2-1 against the Red Wings. Sorry, Greg. Yeah, definitely. Like, it was awesome getting this card, obviously, because it's the high gloss out of 10, and those are almost impossible to find of any player, as Alan knows. But to get the one where he's celebrating winning the cup, I mean, it's hard to, top a photo like that. The only one I wish that was on a card was like the diving save against Lidstrom, but that'll do quite well. So to have a player like your favorite player celebrating like the championship, especially the Stanley Cup, which is arguably the toughest thing to win in all the 4 major sports. Yeah. I mean, people have said it. So.
I mean, you have to make the argument. I mean, it's difficult not to make that argument. I don't know any other sport where you play on like a broken leg and like a severed tendon. You know what I mean? They just skew around on a floppy, whatever it is that you can support your weight on. There's no other sport where people do that regularly, and you find out afterwards that people play with broken bones and all sorts of messed up situations to their body.
There was a guy for the Avalanche named Nichushkin, and he put a picture of his foot, an X-ray of his foot after they won, Greg. And like, if you picture a foot, it was broken there and broken there, like literally 2 places it was broken. Right. And he kept playing just to win the cup. Like, arguably it's the toughest thing to win. So anyways, I had to throw that up there. He had an incredible final 2 games and clinched it for him. They were down 3-2 and they won it. So that has a lot of happiness invoked in me when I see it, because I don't know if he's going to go back. I really want him to be back on that team to end his career so bad. It would make me really happy, and knowing that he won a cup and had everything to do with it at the end was pretty sweet. So I had to show that card. If I didn't show that card, I'd watch this again and be upset with myself. So
yeah, I mean, if that's the case, you got to show the card.
Got to do it. So. All right, Alan, you're up, dude.
This is a nod to Matt. I picked my favorite hockey card actually to show. This is Martin St. Louis. This is a sticker autograph during one of the lockout years. I think it was 03-04 or 04-05. And so everybody in the NHL went to Europe to go play instead. And you know how Europe is with their soccer uniform. There's advertisements everywhere. It's just so much more colorful than a lot of cards you'd see in the NHL. I was just transfixed by it. And part of the reason that hockey appealed to me, we were just sort of touching on it a little bit, is that it's such a kinetic game of all the sports. If you're talking about a game 7 in hockey, there's just nothing quite like it. Even if you don't know what's going on, there's always something going on. The game is always moving. There's almost no downtime, unlike a game like football or baseball where there's, it's turn based. Even in basketball, sometimes you set up a half court offense. In hockey, you're slipping and sliding on a sheet of ice. So there's just so much stuff going on at any given time. And people in game 7s, they absolutely sell out like you wouldn't expect any human being to do, even at the highest levels of any sporting event. So that's why I wanted to show this off. For whatever reason, the intensity of this little guy, he was like 5'6", 5'7", led the league several times in scoring, one of the greatest players. And he was just like, he's like the Muggsy Bogues, of hockey, and led his team to, at least a cup. So it's pretty great.
Very cool.
Him and Vinny Lecavalier on that team were ridiculous. Like when their power play unit came out, like they got scored on a lot, but when their power play unit came out, they were devastating, man. Like they were really, really hard to stop. So yeah, good choice. I liked him a lot. I used to have NHL. You guys play the video games. I used to have it on my PS2, and I would always trade for him. He was awesome.
Yeah. So. I'm not as big into hockey as you guys are, but he was definitely well known. I knew him whenever I saw his highlights. I always thought highly of him. I thought he was a great hockey player.
He's got an awesome name too, dude. Like Martin St. Louis. Like I remember I called him St. Louis once. I'm like, gosh, that's such a weird name. And then, with all hockey players, most of them, you got to hear it pronounced correctly to know, because most of them you'll say wrong. So just watch like a guy that breaks a hockey box on YouTube, and he's an investor, and he's never pronounced. And like, I'm just, oh Lord, Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, who's this guy? Oh, jeez. Click. All right. Anyways, well, there's enough. I got two more. One more hockey I'll probably show, and then I'll get a baseball one in here. But Greg, what do you got for us next?
Yeah. So you guys know this one well. It's the salmon.
What card is that? Alan, do you know what this is?
I don't think I've seen it before. This is like the first time. Yeah. I don't know. Is that?
This is the card I talk about like every 2 months.
Oh, oh yeah.
Not the pinnacle inside where he's taking a photograph, but the other one, which is the Fleer Tiffany. This is the 97 Fleer Tiffany, and that photograph is the one. It's the one for me. It's the Tim Salmon card. I've went down the serious rabbit hole of trying to get this photograph. Or a poster or something. I'm still striking out, but man, that card, that is it, man. That is the foul pole. I think adds so much to it.
Yeah.
Watching that swing, you can't say for certain what's going to happen, but they got a great picture there.
We were talking about that, years ago, Greg, when you first brought it up, and kind of trying to figure out how the photo happened, because behind him there is the netting or whatever. So that guy's camera obviously is right in between the mesh, right through there. I mean, like, what a shot, dude. And from the 90s, like, to think about getting that type of photograph back then.
Yeah. That's like an 8K. If you guys have seen like a picture of Greg showing that card off in the group, the picture is spectacular. It's like an 8K picture. It doesn't feel like it's been processed at all. You feel like you're standing right there. You can feel the summer sun beating down on you from that picture. You're in the stadium there when you.
That's a special card. That photograph, just they did it right. They got the right definition on it. It was just perfect moment. So I'm big on that one. That's my one salmon card. I know for certain that will always be in the top 5 of photography.
Yep.
I think this would have been a bit of a shocker if you did not show that, to be honest with you. I don't know. There was one other card that could have been potentially shown there as like a haha got you, but I'm glad you didn't break that card out yet.
That card is anyway.
I have such a hard time because we talked about Stadium Club, and both of his Stadium Club cards are, I'm talking about Tyler Glass now, are just incredible. I mean, like when you see him pitch though, he's 6'9", 6'8", so he's kind of Randy Johnson-esque, real tall and lean. And so I always wanted them to try to capture that photo or somehow capture his essence on the mound, and I thought they did it well with this one. This is from last year's Stadium Club. This is the red, but just getting, see if my camera will finally grab this or not. I have to take it out of the penny sleeve. Wish me luck. But I really like how they got that photo of him just like showing like the length of that he brings to the mound, so yeah, I really enjoy this picture because right as he's finishing his pitch, the dude throws 100 miles an hour. I think it's hard to kind of capture that in a way, but
no, that's a good pick. I like leg kicks. I like seeing those in cards. I actually almost picked a Tim Lincecum card I had.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was so cool. It looked similar to that. It was a little more Tim Lincecum-esque, where he's got his little freak motions going on.
Right.
But I like that card a lot. That's really cool.
A lot of his photos look like this, you know what I mean? Where he's just like, it's a close up and he's throwing the ball, which is cool, but like all of them look like that. And so to get, a full on picture of him pitching, is pretty sweet. So, with that, I'm all about the long hair. I like it because, again, it reminds me of Randy Johnson. Remember, he had the big mullet and he had the goatee and he would scream and yell at people when he struck them out. Like, Tyler's not quite there, but he throws 100 and then he's got a, 89 mile per hour or a slider and like an 82 mile per hour curveball. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. So, yeah.
All he has to do is destroy a pigeon.
It's a great shape. Yeah, I was thinking Randy Johnson too. Fernando Valenzuela, people who cut like a crazy silhouette when they raise their leg.
Yeah,
it's I like the kinetic part of sports, so I like catching somebody right in the motion.
Yeah, he's so much fun to watch pitch. I never was a fan of pitching until I saw him pitch when the not lockout, but the shortened COVID season happened, and there's no fans in the stands, and he threw a fastball. When it hit the glove, it like reverberated throughout the stadium. I was like, whoa. And then he breaks off like a 81 mile per hour curve, and the guy looks horrible. Or one time the guy, he backs away and it drops right in the strike zone. You're like, this dude is amazing. So it was easily like,
right, pitchers are necessary.
Yeah. I heard that it helps to get people out,
even if they don't, they're necessary. It's part of the game. So I've always appreciated a pitcher. I'll say that.
Hold on a second. I need to quote that. Yeah, there we go. That way, everybody, in case they missed it, yes, they are. All right, Alan. I don't know if you can follow that, but good luck.
I don't know what number we're on, but this is one of the ones I was able to pull out. It's
yes.
Bonds. You just went yard. This is a Wrigley. This is back in the day. Thin Bonds. I don't know how many of us remember Bonds was a showman, like sports are meant to entertain. And at the time, I don't know if you could be more entertained sometimes by some of these superstars from the 90s. And he knocked this one out. He knew it. Everybody knew it. It's one of my favorite post Jack home runs pictures of Bond out there.
So is he dropping the bat? Because I do see it down there, or did he kind of fling the bat?
That's his bat flip, I guess. He didn't. I don't think he flinged it. I think he just dropped it from a high point. But that's like when you think of a backswing after a home run, you think of Griffey. Usually, that's the player you think of. But once in a while, Bonds will do this, and you're like, man, he was fun to watch back in the day.
Yeah,
he really got everybody, glued to the TV for a couple of years there, where you just couldn't miss one of his at bats. And this is about this is several years before that era. This is still sort of mid-career Bonds when he was a 5-tool threat.
Yeah, he took over like 40% of ESPN Sports Center for quite a while.
Yes, Sports Center does not weigh its sports very well. Like once it sinks its claws into one sport or one issue, like it's like 80% of the episode.
Dude, it's like LeBron on Sports Center now. You know what I mean? Anything LeBron or Curry, LeBron went to lunch at Chick-fil-A. Let's talk about it. You know, like, oh, yeah,
it's true.
Ridiculous. Alan, when you showed that, you reminded me of, and I've talked about him already, but Julio's got some of the best bat flips in my opinion now, because he hits the ball. He's a right-hander, and then he looks towards his bench and he holds out the bat with his left hand and he just kind of flings it towards his own dugout, and then he takes off. So it's really cool to see you show that, because I've really been picking up on his bat flip after his home run. Looks like this afterwards. So you see, he's just the bat. He flung it toward the dugout, and he knows it's gone.
Right.
This is from his last home run, and he hit it like into the third deck in Safeco. And I watched him. He didn't even watch the ball land. He hit it, turned, flicked the bat, and just took off running with his head down, like he knew it was out. I like seeing guys that entertain, like Bonds did, and A-Rod and Griffey and those guys that had that showmanship, because, still need that in the game to keep it exciting. I'm waiting for Greg to say, yeah, well, have you seen Luis Robert play? He does the same thing.
I mean, all the White Sox are amazing.
Yeah, bat flips. I mean, for me, I love it. So some traditionalists would say it's, doesn't belong in the game, but I'm highly entertained by that sort of thing.
I mean, it's a different time.
Yeah.
We're in that showmanship era.
Right.
Yep.
Part of entertainment. Sports is more entertainment than it is sports nowadays. So it's one of those, it's part of the game now. You can't be mad at it. It's just accepted.
Well, you got Tim Anderson on your team, and I do like him a lot. I love that he's a contact hitter, but when he hits home runs, he's been known to enjoy them, and I like it.
He's got some pitching upset with him when he shows off those home runs, but he's solid, man. He's an average hitter. He's always, I think he's going to have over 300 average in his career. So the home runs come. Luis Roberts, Eloy, they'll bring the home runs as well. But Tim Anderson, he's the captain. And I watched that MLB documentary on him, where he was kind of like a timid guy. He wasn't really into his own skin yet, and then it clicked for him, and he became like the outspoken captain.
Dude, his home run in the Field of Dreams game, come on, man. And he's pumping it, doing whatever sign he's doing as he's taking off down the first base line. I really enjoy watching that video. I've watched it, him hitting that home run with the call by Joe Buck. I've watched that probably 20, 30 times. Love it.
I briefly entertained the idea of going to that game, but when I saw the price tag on the tickets, I was like, I probably can't do that. But,
yeah, what a game though, huh? That was freaking incredible, man.
So
to follow that up, you've got a Tim Anderson card to show us, right?
Actually, no, but he has a really cool Topps 70 project card. He's got the bat on his back, shoulders, and they drew a picture of it. It's one of my favorite cards of that set. It's TA7. I'd briefly anticipated getting that card, but I never pulled the trigger on it.
Oh, that does look cool, man. Look at that. Can I show it real quick? Yeah, this is pretty sweet. You're talking about this one right here?
Yep, that's it.
So that was drawn by Lauren. Is it Taylor?
Uh-huh.
I have that correct?
That is correct.
She's got her own set coming out. Big surprise.
He was huge. People blew her up on that set because she did such a great job. That card, I was a huge fan of. I wanted the hollow foil version of it.
Yeah.
I never bought it, but that was one of my favorites of the set.
Right. No, it's her stuff's going to do well, and to know that she draws those, she does an original and paints it and draws it, and then they become the cards. Like the Julio Rodriguez is sick, and I hope that the base is cheap, so I can just have the base card, because it itself looks really cool. I'm sure Tim Anderson's going to be in that and whatnot. So
the art, that the dedication and the artwork, like when you put that kind of work in, it shows.
Oh, for sure.
You end up with the end product that looks amazing, and
Dude, no joke. Happy for her. She's a pretty interesting person. So her set when it comes out, I know it was for sale on Tops or whatever. It's gonna be fun to see that.
Yeah.
So. All right, Gregory, you're up.
Okay, so this is the last one.
Correct.
You guys know this photograph more than you ever thought you would. I'm a huge fan, as you guys know, for years and years. It's a historic photograph. I don't know how you would ever.
Oh.
I don't know how you would not know it.
I know it.
It just shot heard around the world. It's just forever.
You know where it is.
There it is.
He's the greatest. How can you not love this photograph?
It is a great photograph. It is a great photograph.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal photograph. It's like one of the classics. Yeah. Like people talk about it as like the top 5, top 10 photographs of sports. Yeah. Obviously, I can never get the shine on this card. Maybe a little bit. It's so hard to get this.
A laugh. Out of all the 80 times we've seen this card, this is actually the most appropriate time for this card.
Yes, it is.
When I was looking at my cards, like, what am I going to show off? I was like, oh, I know. I know.
We've been waiting for the reveal, Greg. It's been, you haven't shown it since we've come back. So this was, maybe subconsciously I thought of the idea just so you could show that one card.
Well, you picked the moment and I came through.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was coming out of the case and everything. Okay. Not yet.
It's there.
I wonder what Frank Thomas or Tim Salmon bit the bullet there at the last minute on the editing.
It was. I had a lot of close calls, but Muhammad Ali won out on that one.
Well, how can I follow that up, man? Like you put me in I should have had you go last, knowing that card was coming. Like I can't follow that up. Like here's Marc-Andre Fleury. He has, he's like here, and Muhammad Ali's like here. I guess I'll just throw this to you guys. Like, do you have any cards of Salmon or Bonds? Like they're in a different jersey, like maybe a throwback or maybe like a Sunday or Saturday jersey, like an alternate, some kind of different colored jersey that you like a lot or that just really brings the card alive. Because I feel like in baseball nowadays, they have all these different uniforms, right? They have like a throwback, then they have a Sunday night, and they have a Sunday morning. They have the last name version, Jackie Robinson. Like there's so many. In hockey, there's not a lot, but I've told you guys this before. I love the Winter Classic jerseys that the Pittsburgh Penguins used, the baby blue ones. Greg, I don't know if you're familiar, but you get to see what they look like. But I've always just loved this card because he's got my favorite mask that he ever wore. It's the one that he wore when he won the Stanley Cup and the baby blue jersey. So in profile shots for goaltenders, for me, I've always loved them since I was collecting as a little kid. Like the shots of the goalies with the mask close up, they've always been up on my radar, especially like the Pinnacle mask cards. Those were always, you remember those, right, Greg?
I do.
In the 90s.
I absolutely remember those.
These bad boys right here.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is the promo version, but anyway, Dufex and all that stuff. But, for Fleury, he doesn't have as much of that stuff. And so to find a card with my favorite jersey and kind of a up close shot of that mask, which again is my favorite, that was an easy choice for me. It's like a little SP from a set from Upper Deck, so it's nothing crazy. But as they say in the 90s group, these don't pop up that often. So I grabbed it when I could.
The jersey is really cool too. I'm a huge fan of LaDainian Tomlinson with his powder blue jersey.
Yes.
When I see that, that's what I think of because I have a few LTs with that jersey, and I'm always a sucker for him when he's showing off that jersey.
Right. I did like those jerseys a lot. Like Phillip Rivers, I know there's some cool pictures. If I was going to collect somebody, it would be him for sure. But he has some really cool shots of him wearing that jersey as well on the Chargers. So sweet.
That is a beautiful jersey. It's the Winter Classic jersey, right? Was that the inaugural year? It's basically
that wasn't from that game, but yeah, they continued playing in them. They wore them. I think I found, yeah, I did find out they wore them on Sundays. If they had a Sunday game in 08, 09, or 10, they used the other version. So those 2 years, if they had a Sunday night game or Sunday morning or whatever, they'd wear them at home. So
that's the closest analog to like the cornfield game that you guys were talking about when they first played the Winter Classic outside. It was a lot of fun. That uniform does that event justice.
Thank you, Greg. I didn't realize you had you should have typed something in there. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know, man. I'd have to go back and think about it. All the Kramer's Choice photos were great because he was always swinging the bat and doing something cool. Yeah, I have a couple that go with the Tim Salmon taking a picture photo too. I'm like, Mike, like, why'd you guys pick that one? Seriously, he's not doing anything, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it in so long. Great question, though. You have to ask everybody that owns my cards now. Yeah, so now, Alan, we're going to do the sentimental card, right, Greg? Like a card that holds a lot of sentimental value to you. And so, Alan, you want to start us off here? I mean, there's an obvious choice, so I'm curious if you're gonna go.
Well, I came clearly very prepared for this episode because
as he's like going through the cards.
Give me two. You guys go first.
All right, yeah. So, Greg, would you like to start us off, and then Alan can?
Absolutely, I go first.
Okay.
All right, so Matt will remember this. This was an instance where it was one of my top cards that I wanted, and it was, crickets on every end, Facebook, COMC, every aspect I could think of, just crickets. And so I finally got a message on one of the forums that, hey, I might have this card. And that's where the instance you're like, do you have it? Yes or no? If you have it, tell me you have it. I need it. And I offered him what at the time was an exorbitant amount of money. And he was like, no, I don't want that much money. Like, it's not worth that.
Right.
I want what it's worth. You are clearly a collector of him. I bought it just because it was cool and it was rare, but you seem to want it more than I want it. I just want what I feel that it's worth. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, because a lot of times they're like, oh, I want $10 million, please. And you're like, it's Tim Salmon. It's not anybody. And they're like, no, 10 million. You want this card, so 10 million.
Yeah.
So I had it in the mail, and Matt, I was live with you. I recorded it. I don't have the video.
Yeah.
Or the audio of it, but I have the video, and this is the 24 karat 99 brilliance. You got to see me open it live on camera.
And you should, if you can, like do like a compressed, like a 30-second clip of like as it's coming out of the package, you see my face, because I was like completely caught off guard, man.
Actually, I was going to show it, and so since you mentioned it, I will.
Oh no, I don't want to see it now, man. You got to send it to just me.
No,
or sorry, just both of us.
Make me big.
All right.
So here it is. You don't know what I'm doing. There's no audio. You don't know what I'm doing. And
no.
like,
yeah, because you were like, that was crazy, man. Yeah.
What? Wow. Yeah, I wish I had audio for it, but you can clearly read your lips.
No way. Yeah, that was cool. Alan, I wish you could have been there, man, because he set it up perfectly. He's like, no, yeah, I got something in the mail over here. I'm like, all right, whatever.
That was a blowout, right?
It was a big one.
That came from a blowout?
Yeah. Freedom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's never happened to me. I mean, I have no
remote. Said, no, don't pay me that much money. I only want this much money. I was like, okay.
Like the perfect seller, dude. You can't ask for a better seller than that guy, right? Do you remember who it was?
I have the message saved, obviously, but
Yes, jeez.
I blew him away with that one. He
did.
was prepared for the prime choice, but he had no idea the 24 K.
I wasn't until like 5 seconds before. I was like, wait, he's done this number before. Like I got some mail. I thought I'd show him. Like, okay, wait a second, and I had it right before it came out. But
did that happen right after the national? Or
yes,
that was pretty close. Yeah. Like a month or two after, right?
Yeah, it was pretty close. Yeah.
Because you were talking about how that time was a special time. You still had some major cards missing from Salmon, and then they came in like one after another.
I started chipping away pretty quickly, but that one was such a huge, just because the way it went down. It wasn't just an eBay random auction. It was like a dude who reached out to me and then offered me a better price than what I like offered him. It was just a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you picked that card because that really captured that time, that moment in time for me. I remember it brought me back to that era. It's like 3 years ago. It was a while ago.
It was, but it still yesterday, right? In the
Well, and it was fun for me too, because I got to see the bonds when we first got to the house. I'd never seen a 24 karat in person, nor I don't think Greg had either, right? There it is.
This is the sentimental card that I was literally going to show his, and I was thinking about that moment when I showed you this card. We just got to the house.
We had just got there, and Matt was like, "Will you pull it out and show it to me?
Whip it out now." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I mean, all right. I did. Like, I thought this shined better, because we were in soft light, and certain cards just don't shine in certain types of light. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I had the same impression that you did. Because when I first opened it, it didn't hit the light perfectly. But when you get it in the right light, it is one of the handful of best 90s cards that exist.
Yeah.
And this also captured that time. This was right around the National, that really, really irreplaceable era of all our friendships. And I remember that moment. We were all standing there, and I just, here's all my cards, have a look. And this happened before the National. Well, right as we got to the National.
Yeah.
So that is my pick as well for Sentimental.
So happy to see it all slabbed up and beautiful again, man. Because I kind of was. I'm sure Greg is in the same boat. It was a bummer not to see you excited about that card again, because just the state that it was in with that Mylar. So
just never looked at it. So that's my pick as well.
Awesome. Well, Fleury's got a 24 karat as well. Never mind, he doesn't. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I can kind of tie it in with Greg. I mean, I know that after I saw that bonds, I was like, I have to find an A-Rod. And then, Greg got his, and I'm like, well, now I really want to get one. And one has still not come up for sale since we met. And I collected A-Rods in all those years. Not one has come up for sale. So anyways, and that's fine, because now it would be out of my price range. There's no doubt I would not be able to afford it. Yeah. But when I first decided to collect Fleury, there was a certain card on eBay that was listed super high, which is like, I'm selling it. But I'm like, this card has everything. It's got the most amazing patch I've ever seen. It's got my favorite mask. It's got the design of the Crosby rookie. I'm like, this card is perfect. So for 2 years, it sat on my watch list. And when I finally started selling my A-Rod stuff and I had a good amount of money, I was like, you know what? This guy's never messaged me back. I think one time. Let me just try one last time. I had one last offer. And so sitting at home, I sent the offer. I'm doing whatever. And then boom, the phone goes off and it says, you got it. And I was like, no way. Like, it's probably the most excited I've been to get a card on eBay. So I think Alan's going to appreciate this a little bit more. But Greg, if you've ever seen the Sidney Crosby design, the rookie, it looks just like this. So this is like a tribute. I'm going to have to take the front of this thing off, aren't I? This is like a tribute card, and they put the best players in it the year the Penguins won the cup. So Fleury got one as well.
Very cool.
So come on, focus. Do it. There we go. Look at that patch, though, huh?
Oh, the patch is sick.
Unbelievable.
So it's from a shoulder patch where they were honoring like something with the certain amount of years Pittsburgh either had the Penguins or something in regards to the city itself. But I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to find a better patch that says Pitt. That's their abbreviation. And my favorite mask with that Crosby rookie tribute design. I'm like, yeah. So to this day, it's the second most expensive card I own. But I don't have any regrets. That will be, if I ever sell that card, I know that I'm done collecting probably, because that'll hurt so much. Like with your guys's, I can't imagine if Alan's like, yep, the 24 carats going, or Greg, if you said that about, are you nuts?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. That's a cool card. You might never see a pit patch like that.
I've never seen one. And there's a guy that's got almost every Fleury, and his patch on that card it's from there, but it's just mostly the number that was underneath the word Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So it's oh man, that card is, yeah. I wish I could tell that guy how happy I am that he decided to accept my offer. Woo.
That design is the iconic design of the era. Crosby is the player of the era.
Right.
Now McDavid may eventually, eclipse him. We don't know. He's got a lot of championships that he's yet to need to win, and a lot of hardware. But Crosby is the golden child. So that's like an 89 Griffey type of design, upper deck type of design. It's that iconic. It's that important to the sport. Is that right?
For sure. No, it broke my Instagram account. It was pretty cool to see, just, when you post a card like the one you guys have shown, or this one, and people are, can tell how excited they are for you. That was fun. So very cool. Yep. And then when I did my interview for my Fleury collection, that was one that I sent them. I'm like, you got to put this in the video of me talking about Fleury. Like, that card has to be in there. So I'm glad that they remembered to do that. That was awesome. Cool. Well, I don't know about you guys, but again, I had fun. I love seeing some of those cards, because those memories are ones that are going to last for a long time. And you've already got me excited about the National. Not that we already aren't, but just to think about what kind of cards are going to show up, or memories we'll make. That'll be
Chicago next year.
Yep. That's right, man.
We will be there. This is my honorable mention. I almost.
Oh, good. Oof. Jeez.
I love that picture.
It looks like me on a Monday morning, dude. What do you mean?
It is like one of my favorite Larry Bird pictures. This card is so fun for me. I almost picked it just because that picture is just perfect. That's
Dude, badass
picture.
He held his own in the 80s, right? In the 80s NBA.
Yeah.
It's not a face you want to face now or then.
Well, as you were saying, yes, I'm excited about the National. I look forward to seeing you guys in person next year in Chicago.
That would be fun if we can. That meetup we did too was certainly really cool, just because we'd spent so much time seeing all these people posting things, and then there they are in the flesh, and everybody was kind of how I expected. Nate was just like Nate is in his videos. And have you guys, I don't know if you guys watch his stuff still, but he recently posted a video of his man cave, and like knowing how it looked when we first met him as opposed to now. I mean, I love listening to him talk about cards like we do now, because he's like, he'll point at base cards like, oh man, I love that design so much. Like, it doesn't matter what he's talking about. He just thinks everything in there is awesome. And I love
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Well, thanks for taking the time, Alan and Greg. Appreciate it. Greg, love the shirt. Got to give you a shout out for the bird shirt. It's not as good as that card, but it's definitely up there. You do need to get that photo on a shirt for the National.
Dude,
Can you make that happen?
He's going to frighten small children. I don't know.
Daddy, this guy's got a scary shirt. Yep, that definitely would happen. But thanks for taking the time out. Hopefully see you guys in a couple weeks. And thanks for everybody for hanging out.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
See you on 69.